Hi everybody, it's Peter here on YouTube. I'm for Pete's sake .stitch, and over on Instagram I am for Pete's sake .fl, where I share what I'm doing with cross stitch and yeah, basically just cross stitch. So today I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I did at the Country Samplers summer stitch camp. And the Country Sampler is a needle workshop in Spring Green, Wisconsin. So every year it's a blast. I typically, well, it's my only out of state retreat that I go on. It's where I grew up in that area, so it's always a blast to go home. I get to see my family. It's a beautiful time to go to southwest Wisconsin, northwest Illinois, just because everything is green. But it hasn't become so hot that you get that waxy layer on the leaves, causing it to get that dull green appearance. So it's just absolutely beautiful. Jeannie Horton and the staff at Country Sampler are just phenomenal to work, not work with, but just to hang out with. I get to meet with them and discuss my works in progresses and what's happening at the shop, and they're always very generous with their time, and Jeannie is just an amazing host and brings in some of the best teachers. And most important is that the stitchers who go every year are just phenomenal. This is the third year I've gone, and so I've gotten to know a lot of other stitchers. And this year we had a lot of first time attendees, and so to everybody who took the time to come up and say hello, thanks. I'm a bit of an introvert, not more than a bit. I'm very much an introvert, and so it's hard for me to get up off my chair and walk around and say hi. So I greatly appreciate everybody who, both old and new friends, who came up and said hello. So um, I'm going to be showing you the table gifts that I made, the ones that I received, the projects that we received from our three designers, who were Vicki Jeanette from Needlework Press, Kathleen Littleton from Cross Stitch Antiques, and Stacy Nash from Stacy Nash Designs. And then I'm going to show you some of the haul. Well, all my haul. It's just a little bit. So we'll start with the project that I worked on while I was there. On my last video, I said that I might start a new project to work on at Stitch Camp, and what I chose was Gifts from My Garden by Hello from Liz Matthews. And one of the reasons why I chose this was because it's relatively small, and so I use a hoop, so it's just a lot easier to manage a smaller amount of fabric compared to some of the larger samplers that I could have taken with me. So it's small, and what I wanted to do and what I ended up doing was I stitched the flowers, and then I just did one leg of the outside of the black, and then all I did for 3 days of camp was just stitch DMC 500. So I finished this last night because I made quite a bit of progress at camp, and so I wanted to finish it. So what I did was stitched with the listed DMC colors, and I stitched it on 36 count fiber on a whim cappuccino. And so the reason I chose 36 count is because 36 count, my opinion, just my opinion, 36 count is you can either do over 2 or over 1. So if we go down in count to 32 count linen, One thread, in my opinion, is a little too faint, especially when we do lettering. It gives a really nice primitive look. So for like blackbird designs and primitive hair, it's amazing. It's just it can be a little bit too thin. So on 32 count, I prefer to use 2/2. And then you go to the other end of 36 down up to 40. 40 count uses one thread over two to give excellent coverage. 2/2 on 40 count, don't even attempt it. It's too bulky, and it strips your threads and makes them really fuzzy very quick. So 36 count is that great medium where I have seen a lot of great work that is 1/2, but I've also seen some amazing pieces that are 2/2. And so the reason I bring that up is because what I did, and it's not going to show up on the camera. I know it's not. And so the flowers and the ribbon are all done with 2/2. And then all of the background is 1/2. And so when you see it in person, there is a little bit more definition. It does, those flowers do pop just a little bit more than the background. And so what I ended up doing was I changed the ribbon on the cover is two colors of yellow, and then the white daisy on top is two colors of white. And what I did in my piece was I just changed the yellows and the whites back and forth, just so that way my ribbon had more of like a raffia ribbon type appearance, and then it was more of a black-eyed Susan in the arrangement. I also liked the idea of the three flowers being the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. So that's another reason why I changed it. You can see on the cover there are three little buttons, and I have not attached my buttons yet. I do not own antique buttons, so I'm not a button collector. And so I'll either have to go out and buy some, or I will have to visit my mom and borrow some from my mom. So we'll see. So that's the piece that I worked on during Stitch Camp. So now I'm going to show you what I stitched as my table gift. And so I told you on the last video that one of the reasons why I didn't have a lot to share was because I was stitching my table gifts. And what I do every year are little Needlebooks. And so 2 years ago, the designer was Blackbird Designs. And so this is my Blackbird Designs year for, just what I designed for Blackbird Designs as the designer, one of the three designers that year. And so all of them have a pocket in the front, and then needles, and then here in the back can fit little tools. Now the one thing that I've learned, well, I'll show you the next year. And then last year, one of the three designers was with I Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And so I modified the Seasons of Your Heart pillows so that way they would fit into a needlebook. And then this year, the designer Needlework Press, I'm like, okay, what patterns do I own from the three designers that I could possibly redesign in order to make a pillow? And so I thought about doing Stacy Nash chickens, and being able to do a chicken because that's what she's well known for. The one problem with doing a Stacy Nash chicken, though, is that Stacy Nash just does the best borders They're absolutely beautiful borders. And so in order, I wouldn't be able to fit one of her beautiful borders and a chicken on the cover of a needle book. And so I was thinking about what I had for needlework press. And I'm like, oh, I've got this pattern called Isabel Jackson. And there's some potted flowers and some really pretty borders, some thin borders that I would be able to use. And I ended up using this little guy here with a shovel. And then, so I spent about 4 hours designing my needle books. And then I was putting my pattern away and I realized, oh shoot, this is a Scarlet House design. It is not needlework press. And so in that moment, I'm like, it doesn't matter. That is just a sign of my laziness in that I was not going to take the time to find another pattern and to recreate a new needlebook. So it's fine. It really is. Or at least that's what I tell myself, that it's okay. And everybody appreciated them. So this is what they look like. So I ended up taking one of the smaller borders and putting it around the edge, and then one of the thicker borders to put on the bottom. And this is inside each one of my books. I always leave a little note thanking everybody for sitting at the table with me. And so I chose a set of colors, and so everybody had a different combination of colors. But the one thing that stayed on everybody's was a pink carnation, because pink carnations are given as a symbol of gratitude. So I wanted to thank everybody for sitting at the table with me. I chose this man just because he's got a little shovel. And so he looks like a little farmer who's got a little tree and a carnation. So this is my needlebook for this year. I became too concentrated with my birthday sal to stitch what you love. I fully agree, but I really didn't need to have more needlebooks stitched. And so I ended up giving away all of my needlebooks, and I like to have one for myself, just so that way, well, just because I'm selfish and wanted one for myself. So I came home and had to stitch one more for myself. And I got 4 needlebooks into my 6, and I realized I didn't have any year on this year's needlebooks. And so mine is modified a little bit. So that way I stitched 2025 over 1 right here in the border. So that way I would remember this was 2025. And then I made each needlebook had either this blue fabric or red fabric or green fabric. And so I used this blue fabric for a project bag. And so I'm like, oh, I want one with blue fabric, so that way it matches my project bag. And so I pulled out the blue fabric when I got home, and it was I had very little. And so I literally had to piece together some of the blue fabric just so that way I had a back to my needlebook. So yeah, so my inside is the blue that I wanted with this white fabric, and then it's pieced on the back. So I don't expect this. I am not going to do piecing on the back. It just got really fiddly. And what I like about needlebooks as table gifts is that they're quick. And this just added a little bit more time. So the one thing that I will say about needlebooks is that in my old models, I always stitched them so that way they would fit a 3 by 3 inch corner gauge here in the front. And what I have found is that my scissors are 3.2 inches tall. And so my scissors would always stick up the top. So this year's needlebook is just a little bit taller. Really can't see it because of their color, but so this year's needlebooks are a little bit taller, a little bit wider, just so that way I can fit my own scissors into the needlebook. So those are those are the table gifts that I gave to everybody this year. I was very lucky to sit at a table with some very talented stitchers. And so the first table gift that I received was a stitch mat that I could put on the table. And then in the front are these pockets, so that way you'd be able to fold it over the edge of your table, and then this part would be on top. And so inside the pockets were some charms, and from the Country Sampler, a little board with felt on it to put your needles. And then in the other pocket, oh, it's just my name tag. So, and so those gifts were from Anne. And then on Anne's left was Carol Softbox Stitcher. And so she made some strawberries out of the Blackbird Designs fabric. And this stem, look at this stem. It is a curled up fabric measuring tape. And then on the side, in 56 count, she stitched Stitch Camp 2025 and attached it to the strawberry with some, and then she fringed the edge. So we received that strawberry, and she also gave out a counting pen with beads on it. And then she was there with her sister, Deborah, and so Carol's husband made these little charms, keyring charms, or floss rings with Saltbox Stitcher and sister, Carol and Deb. And then Summer Stitch Camp 2025 is on the back. And then to the left of Deborah was Patty, and so she gave us this little black metal box, and then on the inside Patty had stitched little pillows. So we got those little pillows, and we also received, I think these are from Patty, yeah, Patty, some crocheted tomatoes, and this is a really heavy tomato, so that's really nice. And then to the left of her was Michelle, and Michelle gave us little thread beds made out of the Teresa Kogut pattern. So we got thread beds and a little pot with a little strawberry, a little sewing strawberry in it. So that was we received from Michelle. And then we also got a skein of the Color and Cotton cherry cobbler. Yeah, cherry cobbler. And then it's got her Instagram name on it. And then to the left of her was Marianne, and she gave us like a little checklist and a little charm. And there was also some tea in the box that she had gifted us. So some really nice table gifts from the folks that I got to share the week with. So thank you to all of my fellow table mates, and hope to see you next year. Some of the gifts that we received from Country Sampler. So every morning we would come into the stitch room, and the designers' projects and some gifts from the country sampler would always be in our stitchy spot. So this year we got a project bag. I don't know where they came from though, but an American flag project bag. And then we also got these really nice mugs for Stitch Camp 2025. So it's a really nice mug. And then we also had a basket that was in each one of our spots. And so every morning when we came in, everything was in our basket. And then one morning we had a country sampler shopping list. So those were the gifts from Jeannie Horton and the shop. So as I mentioned, we had 3 designers. And so on the very first day, on Thursday, was Needlework Press. I had my sister's eldest graduated on Wednesday. And so Thursday morning, I left the hotel in Washington, D.C. at 4:15, went to Atlanta as for my layover, went to Chicago, and got there at 2 o'clock. So I missed the presentation by Vicki Jeanette, where she talked about Lucy Louise Airy, aged 11. But when I was talking to folks, Vicki knocked it out of the park in her presentation. During the entire camp, you would always see Vicki at a different table talking to folks. And so I did get to spend 45 minutes talking to her about, the impact of Industrial Revolution on samplers and Catholicism and the Protestant Revolution. And yeah, she was just a wealth of information, and in 45 minutes I learned so much. But with Lucy, we also received a little bag, and inside the bag was some Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit, and then the listed overdyed cottons to stitch Lucy. So there was a few people who had started Lucy by the time I had shown up at 2 o'clock. Now the really fun project that Vicki had planned for us was in the afternoon we made little pin cushions. So we just had a piece of fabric, and she had like an antique pin cushion there, and so that's where the idea had come from. And so we had I forget which stitch it is, but you do it around the edge of a circle, twist it, stuff it, and then make the top. So that was a fun stitching activity that wasn't cross stitch, but it was it did lead to some very funny conversations about overstuffing and not having enough thread, and so that was a fun afternoon activity. And then the other activity that we received is she had taken some of the motifs and created a reward for merit, and she gave us a piece of perforated paper to stitch that on, and a piece of wool to put on the back. The other fun thing that Vicki had discussed was she gave us just a random piece of scrap fabric. So, everybody at the table had some different color. So I don't know what this is, but what she gave us was instructions and a really quick demonstration on how to do a hem stitch on the edges of your samplers. If you don't follow Needlework Press on Instagram, you're missing out on a lot of beauty. So what she has a lot of are samplers that are hem stitched and then just laying beautifully on desks and on quilt racks, and just so it was a lot of fun to be able to practice the hem stitch and get some input from her on how to improve it. So that was a really fun afternoon activity as well. On the second day, we had Kathleen Littleton from Cross Stitch Antiques. And so at each one of our spots, we had some boxes. And what she ended up presenting to us was two sisters. And so you can see the two antique samplers on either side of the reproduction. And so the box has, the box has Mary's sampler on the outside. And then when you opened it up, she had Sarah's sampler on the inside of the box. And so we were able to bring everything home in a box. So that's nice. So as I mentioned, it was two sisters, and so that's the project that she presented. So this is, this is Sarah, and then Mary. And Kathleen gave us a great discussion about samplers, and then she showed many of the samplers, where she's like, okay, this is a Welsh sampler, and this is what they look like, and some of the motifs, and actually she gave us a full booklet with all of the information that she shared. But what was great was that when she started talking about English samplers, she's like, well, and these are the English samplers, and this is how we can tell that they are. And so we got a piece of Sarah's sampler is on Needle and Flax Dirty Teacup, and Mary's is on, do I have that right? No. Sarah is on Steinbeck, and the other one is on Dirty Teacup. And so each of the patterns include both a color palette from the front of the sampler, so it's more muted, and a color palette from the back of the pattern, so it's a little bit more bold. And so we got the floss colors for the more faded front. And we also got a small charm on our floss ring. The other amazing thing that Kathleen did was when she was going through all of the different types of samplers, she gave us even more patterns. Now these didn't come kitted, they were just the patterns themselves. And so from the her large sampler, Alice Clark, we got this little sampler based on the alphabet and the border that is on Alice Clark. And then when she was later talking about, let's see. Oh yeah, this is Alice Clark again, and just some of the motifs reimagined for this booklet. And then she was talking about, oh shoot, now I forget where which country this sampler is from, but it's here's the full reproduction, and it's called Innocence. And then she gave us some small pieces of the larger sampler that we can make into small pillows or needlebooks. And then finally, from her last country that she discussed was a motif from another one of her samplers. And so we received all of those patterns without kidding, but that didn't matter. Just to have the patterns was outstanding. And she would go into the motifs and how they're used in that region or that country, and what makes them special on those samplers. So it was so educational, and it was a lot of fun to talk to her as well afterwards. And then on Saturday, which was the last day, was Stacy Nash from Stacy Nash Designs, and everything from Stacy was given to us in a little bag, And we received a the Christian's sewing fold and box pin keep. So this is one of her sewing folds or sewing bags that is based on a Scottish sampler. And she had brought the antique with her. And she was really quick to note that this church is not filled in. So it is a lot of blank space. So that's a godsend. But yeah, so that's the sewing fold. And then she also had, based on some of the motifs and the borders, she had a little square mattress pin keep. And so this was the bottom, and then that's the top of the pin keep. And so we were given some needle bling, mean beans linen, and the listed or recommended floss colors. And then we also received a Stacy Nash Designs ruler that said Stitch Camp on the back. And so that is what we received as projects from the shop and from the designers. So thank you to all those folks. All right, so Country Sampler, like I mentioned, is a local needlework shop, and it is an absolutely gorgeous shop. Lisa Kindred Stitcher and Teresa Koget recently had a girls' weekend at Country Sampler, and so both of them on their they both have videos of the Country Sampler. I was going to say that they're most recent videos, but Lisa has released a video since then. So it's actually the one before the last for Kindred Stitcher, and Teresa Koget's last one. It's just a beautiful shop that does quilting, cross stitch, and decor, and it's just a blast. And so last year I bought quite a bit of linen, and so I told myself that what I was going to buy was a lot of trims. But I got in there and I saw the linens, and I'm like, I see them. I'm going to buy them just because it's really hard to see the colors of linen on the internet. Just because, pictures don't catch the subtleties of undertones, and, sometimes a shop uses an old picture. So, anyways, I saw the linens and it's like, okay, there they are. That's going to be awesome. So the first one that I picked up was Lakeside Linens Wood Smoke. And then I picked up some Lakeside Linen Pearled Barley. So it's a little bit lighter in color. And then Needle Bling Designs and not Renita. Anyways, Hometown Fibers. Both of them, both Needlebling and Hometown Fibers, are of Wisconsin linen dyers. And so they had a special trunk show there. And so I did get to pick up some of Hometown Fibers linens. And so this is her twister. And this is, let me trade that around, Queenie. So a really nice gray color. And then this is Dorcas. Dorcas. I'm going to do that the other way around. Yeah, that's better. Dark to light. And the twister and the Dorcas do have, in some lights, they do have sort of a green undertone to them. And so they were just absolutely gorgeous linens to go through. So yeah, so those are the linens that I purchased at Stitch Camp that I really didn't need to buy, but I'll use them. So whatever. I do have plans for a project that needed some wool, so I just picked up some red and green wool. I am taking recommendations on what to make from this, because I only really need that much to finish my project. So I do have a lot of um, red and green wool. So maybe I'll make some strawberries or tomatoes. I don't quite know yet, but I'll have a lot of yeah. It'll be fun to figure out what to do with that beyond the project that I have planned. And then I mentioned that they also do quilting, and so they sell these like little, I don't know if they're fat quarters or how much are on these, but just some really nice small patterns or small pieces of fabric that I can use for the backs of pillows or um, finish making a small project bag would be possible. So, I mean, that's going to be a fun one to figure out what to do with. Yeah, so I've got some fabrics for finishing, and then the only pattern that I purchased was Hannah Phillips by Needlework Press. I saw the model on Kindred Stitcher's video, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and had to ask her, you flashed that one past the screen. What was it? And she's like, it's Hannah Phillips. So this was on my list of patterns to bring home with me. So that would be great. So yeah, one of the things that I didn't notice when I saw it on Kindred Stitcher's video was the antique has a prayer. Yeah, has a prayer on the front of this cartouche, and so instead of making 12 lines of over one prayer, it was recharted to have an alphabet. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I bet you I can. I I change a lot of things. I really do. Whether it's a phrase or a quote. And so I'm always looking for something new. And so whenever I see a poem or a phrase that I really like, I'll do a quick screen grab of it. And so there's a poem that I absolutely fell in love with. And so about 6 months ago. And so I've been looking for something that would fit in there. And so I bought this Thursday and Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday. No, Friday. Friday night I bought this, and I charted my poem, and it fits right in there. I do have to take out 2 lines of the poem, but that's fine. It's still. I had a few people read the poem, and they're like, "That's amazing." So I may do this one earlier. When I was at Country Sampler, I thought about I thought about doing it on wood smoke, just because ever since I did Spring Moon, well, give me 1 second and I'll show you everything. All right, so when I was there, I thought I wanted to use this lakeside linen wood smoke, and here are the recommended colors. And so it would look amazing, especially some of these, because it has sort of a pink purplish undertone. And so some of these reds and pinks on it would just look amazing. And then I charted my poem, and it is 12 lines over one, because it had to be over one in order to fit. And so I was putting everything away in my suitcase, and I'm like, that is way too dark. That's some very dark fabric for over 140 count. So I will be changing this linen um, for Hannah Phillips. I say that, but I really did fall in love with this combination. So we'll see. I've got some time to figure it out. So that is all of my purchases from Stitch Camp. So uh, it's a it's a great retreat. Looking forward to going next year. The designers were announced, and they are Teresa from Shakespeare's Peddler, Paulette Stewart from Plum Street Designs, and Nugent from Samplers Not Forgotten. Kimberly, Kimberly Nugent from Samplers Not Forgotten. So going again next year is going to be a blast, and really looking forward to seeing everybody again next year, because it's just fun. We sit there and stitch, and uh, yeah, it's just a blast. For plans, I don't know yet. I don't know what my plans are. So I spent a lot of time on Needlebooks, and so it's a great time to finish my Needlebooks. And it's like, okay, what have I missed while I've been doing these Needlebooks? And so Green Bean Sampler was the most immediate thing that I wanted to get back to. But I really want to get back to Songbird Sampler. I don't know. And so the needle books take up time, and so it's a really great time to sort of, well, that and the fact that it's halfway through the year. Oh my goodness. So it's a great time to sort of say, okay, here's my list. Because every year I make a list of things that I would like to work on. And so I've got to go through that list of projects that I want to finish, projects that I want to start, and really evaluate what I can and cannot get done for the second half of the year. So, like I said, Green Bean Sampler is on the top of the list of things that need to happen. But next month, I will share with you sort of more of those plans for starts and work in progress finishes. So thanks for listening to me talk about Stitch Camp, and look forward to seeing you next month. All right, thanks, y'all.